Don't blink, it's your boying, and the fam. In the background, a stalker, a paparazzi. How's it going? On this 19 October 2024, we're just chilling. We're playing the Two Towers. We're trying to make a good tournament rank, so we're just playing, focusing on playing. And if I'm lucky enough, we'll get what we need to do. So that's why I'm filming from here. That way I can see it, and this phone needs to charge badly. So today we're doing a subject, and it's kind of funny because it has a lot to do with what we're doing right now, yet it's a choice. And the subject of the day is loneliness. I know what you're saying. Oh my god, Inky again? And what are you talking about again? And they're talking about loneliness. What is loneliness? The feeling of being lonely. And you know the craziest thing? I think the definition is different for a lot of people, which is completely nuts. See, in my life, I was lonely a lot of times, a bunch of times. Majority of my life was spent in loneliness, and there's a lot of time where I like that loneliness. A lot of time where I crave that loneliness. I crave that inner space. I crave that inner peace. There's a lot of time where I chose to be lonely. For example, and we'll get this is gonna be not a long video. It's gonna be a lot of talking, so enjoy. It's gonna be fun. I miss making content. I miss posting content. So, loneliness. You would think that it's feeling alone, right? No, because there's moments in my life where I was in a room full of people, still felt lonely, right? There's a a place in my life where like I said I was lonely by choice. There's a place where I stayed alone because I need to be alone. There's some moments in my life where I need to be alone because I was working, making content, right? And then there's moments in my life where I didn't want to be alone. I wanted to chill with people, just having fun. And then you realize that the moment that you chose to be lonely were possibly moments that you should have spent with other people. A lonely come and go, and it's incredible. It's an incredible thing to think about. Loneliness come and go. There's day where you feel very lonely. There's day where you want to meet people. There's day that you don't feel lonely. Now what changed? And this is again this is my perception. This I'm not a scientist. I'm not a shrink. So please take it with a grain of salt, a grain of pepper, depending on what you prefer. You realize that loneliness is always gonna be present. Like I said, imagine, right? You're in a room full of people. You have to work. Nobody cares about you. You feel lonely, right? You realize that loneliness doesn't really go away. So what if sometimes you feel lonely and sometimes you don't feel lonely? Where your needs change. The needs for conversation, the need to socialize change. See, the thing with being lonely, which is absolutely phenomenal, is the longer of time you're lonely, the more used to it you get. But getting used to being lonely isn't great. Because you get comfortable with being alone, you get comfortable with yourself. So loneliness is a place where it is a sanctuary. It is a place where you feel safe, but it's also a place that is gonna endanger you long term. So it's this respite, it is this break, which is short term. And that's pretty much what loneliness is. But how do you deal with loneliness? I feel like I feel like to a certain degree, you don't really feel like with loneliness. I got a bunch of friends, and again, I'm not pointing fingers. I understand why they're acting the way they're acting. It's not their fault. It is very human. There's people that are very insecure with loneliness. I'm gonna tell you a story, but that has nothing to do with loneliness. But still, it was a time. When I say a time, I said a month ago, a month and a half ago. I couldn't spend a minute without music. I couldn't spend a minute without something in my ears for not thinking about life. You know, I was listening to podcasts. I was listening to shows. I was listening to YouTube, to Netflix shows. I was filming. I was being live. Even right now, we're playing the tower. Right now, I constantly need this. Right? That's the thing with loneliness. You're constantly gonna need something. Now, the great thing about loneliness, it depends. If you're a person that needs that loneliness, that's a good thing. But if you need that to be with people, you'll choose to be with the wrong people. But in both cases, you need something. You need that space, or you don't need that space. In a perfect world, right? You need that space, because if you don't need that space, then you're willing to take any attention, you're willing to take anybody, and you end up with people that don't deserve your time nor your kindness, nor your soul, nor your energy. And you're like, okay, well, it's better to be alone than to be surrounded with bad people. But then if you need that space, there's a reason why you need that space. And I'm sorry to say, time will not heal all wounds. I'm sorry to say, loneliness is not the remedy for everything. So loneliness itself is not necessarily how lonely you feel. It's how comfortable you are with being lonely. Loneliness is, it's very lonely. There's time where I wish I had some people in my life. Then I have so many of you guys that are supporting me that I'm super thankful for. There's many times in my life where I feel I'm overwhelmed by people, for example. And I do say that with love, with a lot of love. My father. I love my fucking father. My father is one of my role models. I love him. But my father is this extremely demanding person. And he doesn't even notice. Like, he's gonna have you he wants you to come every single week to talk. And you realize it's just him talking. Because he doesn't have friends. Then you realize that his family are friends. Then you realize that his brother and sister all have noticed that. So they don't talk to him a lot. So then he has this girlfriend. But the problem with my father is he's retired now. He's retired. And because he's retired, he doesn't have anybody to talk about. Doesn't have anybody to talk to. But because he's retired, he doesn't have anything to talk about. So he can tell his girlfriend this story once. If he's lucky enough, he'll tell it twice. But at a day where you're working on the garden, there's a day where you're going to the store to buy something, and a day where you're doing dishes or cleaning up the house. How much can you really say? And you realize that my father needs that or craves that touch, that socialization, right? And I wasn't going to talk about my father, but I'm realizing that this is the very best example for loneliness. See, me and my father were very similar. Me and my father were exactly the same person. We love to talk. We love to be included. We love to be at the center of everything. We love the attention. We love the social aspect of life. But we're very different. Me and my father, to a certain degree, are both lonely. My father is lonely because he doesn't have anyone to talk to because he didn't choose it. And when he does have someone to talk about, there's only one person or two persons. So you're putting all that pressure on those one or two person, which is me and his girlfriend. And you got me. Now I wasn't going to talk about this because this is a little bit more personal, a little bit of a problem. Me was lonely. Then I'm comfortable being lonely. I'm comfortable being on my own. I don't mind. I like it. But do I really like it? Am I truly comfortable? And now you say, what do you mean, Ink? It's pretty simple. How many videos do I do a day? How much yapping I do a day to you guys? Yeah, that's how I deal with loneliness. Anyway, I love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.